Ooh, ooh, ooh. There's only one of you, so tell us your story like only you do. We're on the same team of dreamers, a happy, scrappy group of believers. So come, play a part. There's room for mistakes and messes and art. Who cares if there's not many takers? We're doing it for the makers.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the For the Makers podcast. I hope everybody's doing so good on this lovely day. My name is Leah Beth. I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast, and I am joined here by my other co-host,
Rachel. Well, I kind of sounded like Siri.
You did. I was about to be like, I don't know if I liked that. I'm not 100% sure. How are you doing, Ray?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
I am as well.
This has been a really fun day.
It has been a really great day. Yeah, and again, you wrote a freaking bop with this intro. I really need the rest of the song. Just like as soon as you can get there.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. No pressure.
We got two
pressure,
verses, you know?
I mean? Yeah, we got two verses.
Yeah,
you got it.
I said, this is all that I was asked for.
I believe in you.
And I said, I have the course.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
There it is. We did it. You guys, I hope that you have listened to a couple of our other episodes that are up and continue to listen to them and are inspired by artists that we know and love, and hopefully it inspires you to tell your own stories and create your own art. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So
for the makers,
baby. Let's go. So just a reminder, we do put out our episodes every second and fourth Friday of the month because you clap on the 2 and the 4.
Not the 1 and the 3.
Thank you. So
DJ's here. She's like, yeah.
I know. Fellow musician. So yeah, just as a reminder, remember, put that in the calendar, subscribe so you can get alerts, all the fun things. But without further ado, we have an incredible friend of ours, somebody we love very dearly here on the podcast with us today, Miss Danielle Bees, also known as DJ.
Yes, she's from California, and she's based now in New York City. And I'm going to do a little, as we do, cold read of her bio. So,
please give it to us.
Danielle Bees is a Sofia Symphonic Summit 2023 composer, an ICEBERG Institute 2022 composer, an Alba Festival 2021 composition fellow, and an ICon Arts Transylvania Academy 2020 composer in residence. I just had to stop there because she is an icon. Period. Yeah. Her music for the concert hall, film, and theater have been performed throughout the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe. She has worked with notable ensembles such as Trio Immersio, the Julius Quartet, Transient Canvas. I love that name.
I know.
The Hub New York, not New York, the Hub New Music Ensemble, the RSNO Ensemble, and the Edinburgh Quartet, and collaborated with actors, directors, and writers alike. Danielle holds a Bachelor of Music from the Greatbatch School of Music at Houghton College, and a Master of Music from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. I just butchered that last sentence.
You did good, Ray. That was
Thank
good.
you so much.
That was a lot of hard words in there.
There were some tough ones.
You did a really good job.
I wish my voice and speech class from college helped me out there a little bit more.
She's an actor, ladies and gentlemen.
I am. DJ, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for being on our podcast.
Hello. It's so fun to be here.
Yay. Well, it was fun reading your bio. And when it gets to the part, collaborated with actors, directors, and writers alike, I just had an experience of getting to collaborate with you on a little project here in New York. And it was a blast. And it was the first time DJ and I are friends. Yeah. And well, DJ, LB, and I are also LB. LB's not included in that.
It's okay. I will
sacrifice.
Moonwalk out of this situation.
Nick Miller.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have to throw a new girl in there.
Always.
Always. But it was my first time getting to get a little glimpse. I feel like it was just like a small glimpse of just getting to see you work. And it was such a joy. And like your ear is so incredible. That sounds so weird coming out of my mouth, but truly, like, what you listen for in music and what the things that you hear that make things better or worse, like, it's really cool to get to see you work. So anyway, DJ, how do we know each other?
How do we know each other? So we met through the Hang.
Yeah.
Heyo.
Which, like,
Lots of Hang friends on this podcast.
yeah, shout out to the Hang.
What's up?
I'm sure you guys have already talked about it in previous episodes, but it is a really great ministry for a lot of Christian artists in the city.
Yep.
I heard about it, I think, through my friend Jess at the time. This was in 2019.
Jess
Martins.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard about it through Jess. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh, hey Jess, I
know.
hope you're listening.
I know,
What's
Jess,
up?
we miss you. And so then I went, and it was a whole lot of musical theater energy.
Yeah.
But I was used to that, having gone to like a performing arts school, and I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So we met then, but like I think I started going in like January of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was a time.
Bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer. I don't really remember how we became like closer friends. Like, same for like both of you. I'm like, I don't remember when this happened.
It just happened.
But it just
organically.
happened.
Yeah.
I think it might have been actually the Christmas recording that we did for the
think-
like Hang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah,
you guys had reached out to me to play something for it, and I was like, sure.
yeah, that's right. Because you came over to our apartment.
Yeah.
And we had like set up a whole like studio shot moment.
Yes.
Yeah, in your living room.
And you were playing. What did you play? Sleigh
I played
Ride?
Sleigh Ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really fun, like, jazzy version of Sleigh
Yeah,
Ride.
I remember that. And I was like, my jaw like hit the floor because I was like, that sounds hard.
Who is this
Yeah.
woman? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, yeah. I was just thinking about it. I think it could have been the Christmas part, or like the Christmas spectacular that Rachel produced wonderfully and beautifully. But also I think truly over 2020, I think just being able to get to know you, and all of us were shut down. And then in 2021, when we got to be in person, all of us were like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I think that it just, the cool thing about some of these conversations that we're having with our friends is like, when did we meet?
Yeah.
You know, which is just, I think it's a special sort of relationship when you're like, oh, I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a special relationship that we have. That's for sure.
I love
Without
it.
a doubt.
I love it.
Me too.
Okay, so DJ, composer extraordinaire, what got you into the arts?
What a question. Well, I grew up in a very entertainment focused, not necessarily focused isn't the right word, but very entertainment-y family. I'm the youngest of 4, and both of my parents were musicians. They met in like a worship band. So cute.
Come on.
That's how they
I
met.
love that.
I know. He played bass. She played piano. It was meant to be.
A love story, truly.
Yeah, it's so good. And I don't know, my parents just always inspired us to do whatever we wanted to do. And their mindset was that if God had a plan for our lives, like, why would they get in the way of that? So my oldest sister went into fashion design.
Nice.
My brother was an actor. And then my other sister did music. And ironically enough, like I remember this, I don't remember the age I was, but I think I said, like, I don't like music.
Really?
I love the synchronized gas. That was
Spent
so
a lot
good.
of time together too.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I don't know why I ever said that, because like now I think back, I was like, I literally noticed music like so early on.
Yeah.
But like my whole family was musical, and I think part of me just like wanted to not be the exact same as my siblings, maybe.
Sure.
So my mom had always offered to teach me how to play piano. Like, she taught my siblings. She never forced me, and I just like never wanted to learn. And then I think it was like my grandparents' like 50th wedding anniversary or something like that. My sister played, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that was great. And I was like, maybe.
You're like,
Maybe I want some accolades.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I was 13 at the time, and I'd only ever like kind of tinkered around on the piano. And so I told my mom, I was like, hey, actually, I think I might want to like start taking lessons.
Yeah.
And I just like immediately fell in love with it and would just like practice for hours. I developed a lot of bad habits that I had to unlearn later on.
Sure.
And then I always like find this funny to tell people how I got into composition, because honestly it was just by accident. I was like sitting at the piano waiting for my mom to come in and answer a question that I had, but she was talking to my dad, and I just like started messing around and I like wrote my first piece.
Wow.
And I had written like, earlier on I had written like horrendous lyrics, like horrible. I think I had found like the lyric book like later in life, and I was like, this should never see the light of day, and I like threw it away because I was like, this will not come up later. This will not come up later. And I remember that I had like melodies in my head to those. Again, horrible, I am sure. But I just started like composing and just really fell in love with it, and realized that I'd always like noticed music in films and had always been obsessed with that. And yeah, I just kept going. I think I wrote probably like maybe 12 pieces in a week or something, and they were all only ever for piano. And I pretty much just had them memorized until I started like looking to apply to schools when I had to start writing stuff down. But I didn't have any notation software, so it was all by hand.
Wow.
But
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So where did you get your, like, the music theory?
I honestly didn't have that much music theory knowledge when it came to when I started writing.
Wow.
I think
You just kind of figured it out.
yeah, it, like at the beginning it was a lot of just intuition.
Wow.
Where it was just kind of like, okay. And I mean, I was learning how to read music and play at the same time, and I remember like, you know, I think the first piece that I ever played where I could play it all the way through was like Dawn from Pride and Prejudice. And
Come
I was
on.
like so excited.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
I was listening to that the other morning.
Yeah, Dario Marianelli.
Yep.
What a man.
I just have to give a shout out to your
My playlist.
movie scores playlist.
Yes.
It has many a day helped me get through my work day, because I'll just put it on in the background and it is so good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm so glad.
it's like what, 400 hours long or something like that?
Not quite. It is it is 45 hours long. I really wanted to try to reach 2 days, 48 by the end of 2022, and I failed in that mission. But
you can still do
we're on
it.
our way.
You
We're
can
on
still
our
do
way.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to shout out like movie scores in general. Like people, I didn't start really getting into like listening to only the scores of films that I loved until our friend of the podcast, Ryan Dunn.
Ryan, we love you.
We love you. He and I became really good friends, and he would share his playlists with me because he's notorious for making these incredible seasonal playlists. And so he would send me the one for spring or summer or whatever. And more often than not, there were at least a few tracks on there, if not like half of the playlist is film scores.
Yep.
And I remember one day we sat on the couch and he was like taking me through his entire album, just album after album, all these incredible scores. And I mean, I knew like the John Williams, you know,
Of course. Yeah.
we're Harry Potter fans here in this circle.
So good.
And so like Harry's theme, you know, Lily's theme, all these incredible.
Lily's. Well, Lily's theme is Alexander Desplat, but
Right,
yes.
sure.
But yes.
Yeah.
See, this is why I love DJ.
Exactly.
Be like, hold on. She's like, credit where credit is due.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like all these incredible film scores started to come to life in a new way. And so to all of our listeners, if you have never listened to the score of a film that you love, even something like thriller scores are really great. Like Parasite has a great score.
Parasite's such a great film.
Right? And so like these, just look into it. I just challenge you all the listeners, look into it, get into movie scores, because, you know, then you'll have an emotional experience like with Dawn from Pride and Prejudice.
Exactly.
Or Rach, what's the song from You've Got Mail that you like always cry to?
I think I told you this story,
did,
DJ.
yeah.
Where, I was working one day, and I listen to movie scores a lot while I work, and I was, you know, just typing an email, and that something was playing in the background, and I just suddenly started crying. And I was like, why am I crying? And I realized, because it was so, the music just like, it was like, you know, when you're, I don't know, everybody's feeling is probably different, but like, it was like my heart was just like it just kind of came out of my chest and I just like,
it's my favorite.
Yeah. And I just started crying because of whatever was playing. And I was like, what is this from? And I come to find out that it's the scene from You've Got Mail where she's closing the shop and she turns around and she sees her younger self and her mom twirling in the shop. And I was just like, and when I realized that, I just started crying more. It was like so funny, but I was like, oh no, like this is the power of music. And it's just so beautiful. I love that. It was a funny moment, but it was also just like, you know, so moving.
The power.
Yeah. Yes, the power. So DJ, you started writing, and then how did it become something where you're like, I'm going to do this professionally?
Yeah, that's fun because I actually do have like a moment, because I feel like a lot of times you don't have a moment.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So I was home alone one day. I was 16 and just flipping through the channels on the TV, and I was like, ooh, like Titanic is on. I haven't seen Titanic in like years. Why not? So I like, you know, I was like, my parents aren't home. Like, they don't care. Like, cause my dad would not be like into watching Titanic. So I was just like, sweet. All right. And I just was so blown away and moved by the score.
Yeah.
James Horner, may he rest in peace, did like such a fantastic job scoring that film. And I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I want to do that. And I'd been composing for, at this point, like 3 years, and I'd really loved it. But that was when I decided, like, hey, I actually might be able to do this, like, as a career. Like, maybe I could actually do this as a career. And so that's what really got me into taking it seriously. And I started looking at schools. And at the time where I would have gone to college, I graduated from high school in 2012. So that's when I would have gone to college as well. The only school in America that had, if I'm remembering correctly, that had film scoring specifically as a major was Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Wow.
So much synchronized. I love it.
So much.
Jinx.
It's a lot of time.
It's all right. It's all right. And so I was like, you know what? And my parents obviously, like, none of us knew if I was good enough or not, right? Like, I had been composing for, at this point, like 4 years. My parents were like, we think you're good, but like, obviously, like, we don't know, you know, like, they were supportive. Yeah. They were like, I mean, you know, go for it. And I was like, okay. So I applied to Berklee and I auditioned in person. And it's so funny to me now because I think about what I played, but to do like the audition for like the film scoring, you would play like one piece, but you could also play a piece that you wrote. So I wrote like a piece for the audition. And honestly, like I think I have it hidden on my YouTube because like it's on my parents' very out of tune piano.
Sure.
But I have like a recording of it. And I was like, honestly, actually, that still is a pretty solid piece. I'll like think back and I was like, that was pretty good. So I was 17 and I went and I auditioned. But the piece that I played, because you could choose anything, because Berklee's a bit like a contemporary, like it's like jazz. But, and so I played the track Rose from Titanic. And what's hilarious to me now is that I look at it and I thought it was like so hard. And now I'm like, lol. So that's like not hard at all.
Love that.
But yeah, I went in and I played like both from memory, and that was in like, I think August of 2012. No, this would have been 2011. Okay. Dang, I'm old. So like I found out I got in February of 2012. And
wow.
I think that's like one of the very few times in my life when I cried out of happiness because I was just like, oh my gosh, like maybe I can actually do this. Like I'm actually like good enough to do this. Like, okay. Because at that point, Berklee was like, and it might still be, but it was definitely like one of the top music schools.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm pretty sure it still is.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. And I'd only been playing and writing for 4 years. So it was like, obviously I don't know.
Right.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because it was very expensive. So that was a huge bummer, but I honestly just like needed that catalyst of like, oh, hey, like just being accepted on its own was like, all right, like maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Right. Like I am good at this, because if I hadn't gotten in, I'm not sure like where I would be today.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that I actually went.
Yeah. You needed the confidence boost. Yeah. For sure.
Especially at that age.
Yeah. It's such a that age is so, I always think like, gosh, it's so hard that at like 18 years old, you're like trying to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like what?
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah.
To put that kind of pressure on an 18-year-old. But I think that like that story is so, I think, relatable probably to a lot of
100%.
people, because for me, for sure. Because it's like, you're just looking for some kind of direction and like hoping that, you just need, sometimes you need like the affirmation of like, this is it. Do this.
Right. Well, because we all know the horror story of the person that has all the passion in the world, but cannot do doesn't, like, we all have, we've all seen American Idol. Like we all know the people who get in there and are, you know, they're like, this is what I'm supposed to do with the rest of my life. And they just don't have the natural talent for it. And how absolutely crushing that can be. And so I think, especially at 18, when we're like, who even am I? What am it is life? Like having some sort of validation that's like, okay, in my art, like this is possible for me. And I do have the chops to do it. Of course, you will have to work hard. Of course, you will have to put in the hours. Of course, you'll have to do all those things. But being able to have some sort of, it's comforting to have somebody look at you and be like, okay, like you got it. You can do it.
Yeah,
you know?
see enough potential in you to invest in you. Yeah.
Exactly. That's not like, we love our parents. All three of us in this circle have incredible parents that support us and love us. But it is, you know, nice to have somebody who you may perceive to have authority in this area be like, you got it, kid. Like that's really important. So for teachers, for professors, for mentors, it's really important to be like, give your kids an attaboy because they need it. They need
totally.
it.
Definitely.
Totally. So you don't go to Berkeley, but you do go to
Houghton. Yes. Yeah. So that was also kind of a funny story. I had deferred my acceptance to Berkeley because I still had this like pipe dream that I was going to be able to make it happen to go. And so I took a semester off after high school, was like trying to find a job. I did a scholarship only audition for Berkeley. And then the next semester I just started going to like my local community college just to get some like credits out of the way. So then that summer I had to give up my acceptance to Berkeley because I was like, this isn't going to happen. So then I just started looking at like general like schools, particularly Christian schools at this point that like had music composition as a major because I already knew that like film scoring wasn't really going to be an option without Berkeley. And I really wanted to go to Belmont in Nashville. And I like applied, but they never got back to me about my music audition.
Oh, interesting.
I like sent it in and everything. And also they still hadn't given me like enough assistance to like afford the program.
Right. Sure.
And then like Houghton was like my backup school. And my mom was familiar with Houghton. So Houghton, now it's Houghton University, no longer Houghton College.
Hey.
But it is in Western New York. It's in between Buffalo and Rochester. It is literally in the middle of nowhere. Like the population of the town like is the college.
Yes.
So I thought I was going to be going to like this big city or whatever. And I was like, I don't want to go. But my mom went to school at Roberts Wesleyan College, which is in Rochester. So she knew of Houghton because apparently they were like rivals back in the day.
Sure.
But I did the audition and they had gotten like back to me right away and had given me a scholarship, and it just kind of like became pretty clear. And I was like, but I don't want to go here. Like this isn't what I thought I wanted. But it just, that's where I was supposed to go. So in January of 2014, I like transferred, and I'd never been on a plane before. I hadn't really been away from my parents for longer, maybe than like a week.
Yeah.
And so here I am like getting on a plane by myself. And my mom is so funny because she'll tell me now, especially considering now, like I've traveled so much, which I'm super grateful for.
It's funny now thinking about you being
so
like,
funny
I've never
now.
been on an airplane.
And she'll often tell me the story that she walked out that morning because we had to get up really early. And she saw the look on my face and she thought inside, she's like, I don't know if she's going to be able to do this.
Wow.
Because I was like, so like, I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was 19.
Yeah.
And I had like never gone on a plane. And here I am going somewhere like in the middle of a winter.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I grew up in the desert. Like I was like, I'm going to like the middle of winter. Like, where am I going? I don't know. But the school actually just turned out to be a really good experience for me. Like I had an amazing piano professor who's just like the most humble person, but like the most talented pianist, and he's a Steinway artist, and just like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
shout out to Dr. Newborough. He's like incredible, amazing teacher. My composition professor, Dr. Hutchings, I loved being able to study with a woman because my field is so dominated by men. And I have like some really solid like male composers in my life, so that's not at all to like bash that, but it's more like female composers are few, we're more rare. And so being able to like study from one who honestly kind of like came up even in an even more like oppressive environment surrounding that was really great. And I met like some of my like absolute best friends who I'm still close with today there. And so it turned out to be like exactly the right fit, and it was 100% not what I thought I wanted, but
Totally.
by doing it that way, I just fell in love with writing for the concert hall, because at that point I had only ever written piano pieces. I had no idea how to write for anything else.
Right.
And I like only knew how to like write on paper. I didn't have like access to music notation software. It's not like today where like MuseScore and NoFlight, like, you know, you can get all those really free. So I finally like invested in some, and I started writing for other instruments, and I was like, oh, I like this. Like, I like this a lot. And now I look back to my like college pieces and I'm like, oh, those are so bad. I maybe have like one or two that I'm like, you could still live. But others I'm like, not great.
No.
Yeah, not it.
No.
I think we all look back on our college days.
We really thought we were making it.
Yeah,
and you're
literally.
like, like, I don't know. That's so cool. Being able to hear your story and see you now and know all the incredible accomplishments that you've had, and incredible pieces of music that you've created, and the fact that you've scored a film, and the fact that you've done the things that you know, when your mom looked at you and was like, I don't even know if she's going to make it. Like, then to be like, no, she made it. And not only did she make it, she excelled. Like, that is so, it just gives me butterflies thinking about that, and just how those experiences of not getting into Berkeley, or getting into Berkeley but not being able to go, you know, not being able to go to Belmont, these little experiences, they're what we perceive in the moment to be setbacks. But now looking at them, like they made you who you are as an artist and as a person. Yeah. And I just think that is like, it's so cool to me that that's the way everything panned out. That was like disappointment, encouragement, disappointment, encouragement, disappointment. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, that was the way it was supposed to be. Yeah. And that is so cool to me.
Yeah. So did you think while you were in college in New York, were you like, I want to go abroad for my master's? Because now that I'm thinking about your story of just like, you hadn't been on an airplane since you left for college, like were you like Scotland?
Yeah, I know, right? It's so funny. I mean, first off, I had always wanted to like move to the East Coast. I had nothing wrong with like where I grew up, but I was just like, I like seasons. Like that looks fun to experience. Totally. Yeah, I was like, that'd be really nice. But then, when it came to like studying abroad, I think probably junior year of college, I like was really thinking about it, because I was like, I just really want to travel. I want to go like everywhere. Obviously it terrified me, but I was like, but it'd be so fun. But with my major, and because I had like transferred in, like, I mean, you guys know, but like music majors lives, nightmare. Like you're so busy, like like overcommitted to tons of things. And so the likelihood of me being able to actually like do a study abroad program for just like a semester was very slim, because I'd already pretty much finished all the credits that like the usual like study abroad programs would have. I was like, well, I've already done those, so I can't like go right. So it was like, you know, going into senior year of college, when I was like, I mean, you know, when else in my life am I going to get the chance to just like, you know, I'm single, I like don't really have any commitments, like I could go anywhere, like why not try for it? So I started looking at schools abroad, and I was sort of debating, like I couldn't apply everywhere. And my composition professor, she had this like your Hail Marys. So like very top tier, then like your mid-level, and then kind of like the guaranteed to get in. And I had like probably primarily Hail Marys and then like a couple mid.
Yeah.
Overachiever. But
come on.
I was debating like between applying to Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, RCS, or I think it was Royal College in London. Royal College of Music in London.
Got it.
And when I was like weighing it, I was like, would I rather live in Scotland or London? I've obviously never been to either of these places.
Right.
Like I haven't been out of the country.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think Scotland. And I'd already heard that London was like really expensive. And I was like, not as well. And I loved like RCS's website, and it just looked like incredible. And I honestly just like fell in love with the school. So I applied like there and to a couple other like schools abroad, applied to some domestic, and then just sort of like washed my hands of it in a way, being like, all right, let's see what happens. Yeah, I was like, I'm happy with whatever happens. And like RCS was definitely my top school, and I was like falling more and more in love with it. I was like, no, DJ, don't do it. Like, don't fall in love because it might not work out. You've had this happen once before in your life. Don't do it to yourself again.
Yeah. Right.
But then my first grad school acceptance was RCS.
Wow.
And I like remember opening the email before my like 8 a.m. brass techniques class, and I like read it.
So cool.
And just like, I laughed when I read it because I was like, you're joking.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't real.
This isn't real.
Yeah.
And I sort of immediately kind of like pushed it to the side because I was like, this isn't going to happen. And I was like telling my friends like, yeah, guys, I got in, but like it's probably not going to happen because like the deposit's really expensive and they kind of like want it right away. And they were like, DJ, like don't just dismiss this. Like you got in, like that's great. And then I still did like the interview for one of the conservatoires in England, and I didn't get into that school. And then like I went to like one of the interviews in New Jersey of a school I was looking at there, but just everything like paled in comparison. And I was like, it's not Scotland. It's just not it. And I think I was just afraid of making that leap of saying like, I'm going here, because I'd like wholeheartedly been like, I'm going to Berkeley. And then when that didn't happen, it like honestly was like so crushing for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that experience again.
Right.
And so I was like kind of terrified, but then I finally was like, you know what? No, like I'm going to accept my place. I'm going to RCS. And when I told my friends, they're like, oh, finally. They were like, we knew you were going, obviously.
Right.
And then like everything else worked out. Like got my visa very easily. And, thankfully, I'd like after I graduated from Houghton, me and a few friends went on like a graduation trip, and we went to like Iceland, London, and Edinburgh. So I got to like, I had already accepted my place, but I got to like travel with other people abroad before having to do it by myself.
That's
so
awesome.
I at least like knew kind of what to do, what to expect. And I got to see Glasgow, and I got to see the school. I was very sick that day, so like kind of like a fever dream. But I remember just being like waiting for any red flags to pop up, and like none did. So it was really just kind of like, okay, like I guess this is it. I guess I'm going here. And then when I went to actually leave, like I graduated from school, I like worked at summer camp, and then I like went back home to spend like the last like month or something, because in the UK they start, well, particularly Scotland, they start pretty late, like late September. And so I went home, and honestly, like leading up to it, I was like, again, like so terrified, like, you know, just like crying.
Yeah.
And I'd be like crying with my dad, and he was like, you know, like, are you like crying, or are you upset because like you don't think you want to go anymore, or because you're scared?
Oof.
And I was like, it's because I'm scared. And he was like, yeah, I think so too. And he was like, most people don't get a second shot at their dream school. And he was like, you gotta go. You gotta, like, you do. And and this is similar to like my mom saying like, I like don't know if she can do this. My dad, when I called my parents and told them that I got into RCS and that I was planning on going there, he told me this like obviously later. But when they got off the phone with me, he turned to my mom and it was like, I don't think that's going to happen, because he was like, there's just so many like steps, like it just seems so unachievable. There's so many steps. But yeah, he was basically like, you got to go. Like, you know, you did it. Now it's happening. And obviously it wasn't
for the win.
I know.
Yeah, really.
Both my parents, like, shout out Harold and Polly Bees. They're great. I know. Like, they have the cutest name as well.
I was about to say Harold and Polly.
I know.
I am dead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, like, obviously it wasn't easy for them to like, yeah, our like youngest daughter is moving to another country and we most likely won't see her for the next 2 years. But they were like so supportive and they were just so excited and proud of me. But like leaving them was like really, really hard. But then, yeah, I got to Scotland and it was just like the most magical experience, and obviously ups and downs. It wasn't like all, sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
It was mostly rain, but but I just met so many amazing people, and I got to work with so many professional people, and my professor there, like Linda Buckley, shout out to her. Like, she's an absolute star.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just forever changed my life. Like, going there and living there and getting to travel abroad, like, it's just opened up so many doors.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you for sharing your kind of education path, because I think that that's a really, I don't know, I think it's such an important part that what am I trying to say? It really kind of defines a lot of who we are. It's just very like, I don't know. I feel like when I think back to those experiences really shape us as humans, which then of course are going to affect our art and our creativity. And, the fact that it was such a leap, there's something that grows you so much when you're staring at a really big jump that feels really scary, but you do it anyway. Yeah. And then you get to the other side of it. There's so much confidence that builds. And it just sounds like, in hearing your story, the confidence boost of getting into Berklee, the leap of going across the country to New York, like, and then the leap of going like across the world. Yeah. Like, DJ, it's really striking. Like, I don't know. It's just so cool, those leaps. And then along the way, all these things that you're learning that have informed who you are as an artist and the growth that you've had as a musician and a composer, just really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, 2 seconds. I do think that whenever you said, Rach, like, the confidence that's built when you do something that you're afraid of. And Rach says this to me every once in a while. She'll be like, do it afraid. Even if you are scared, do it anyway. Yeah. And that is such a consistent, that's what bravery is. Most people think bravery is, I'm not scared. Yeah. Right. And it's like, no, being brave is you're terrified and you run into the fear. Yeah. That's what being courageous is. That's what bravery is. And so I think some of my favorite fantasy stories, we talk about Harry Potter, we talk about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Narnia, all of these superhero stories, Marvel, these sorts of things. Like, we love these characters because they're brave, but that doesn't mean they weren't afraid. Yeah. And so I think valuing somebody seeing you as a superhero and what you've done, of being like, I did it afraid. I think that is, it's inspiring to me. And I know it'll be inspiring to somebody who's listening to this, because it is scary. This world is scary. This industry is scary, but do it afraid. Definitely do it afraid.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's very relatable too. I don't think we realize that as humans. I talk to my sister about this a lot, about how nobody really knows what they're doing. Yeah.
We're all just out here.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Some people are really good at pretending that they do.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Fake it
my
till
motto.
You make it. Oh my gosh. Every day that I wake up. Yeah. Pretty much. That's what I say to myself. But it's just like, it's so true that most people are afraid. Like, most people are scared, and it's kind of like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, fear is sometimes a very good thing, right? It tells us
core emotion.
Exactly. Yeah, we're all sitting here going, what is your fear telling you?
Yeah, I was going to make
I'm just like, I go to therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to make an Inside Out joke, but I decided to pivot. So
I love that. We were all thinking
the same thing.
Okay, so I want to make sure we get to the rest of these questions. I'm just so enthralled by your story. So we'll kind of go through them a little more quickly. But why do you think that the arts are important?
Whew.
I know, loaded question. Answer it fast.
Yeah, it's like, you want me to like answer this quickly? So many reasons. I mean, I think art, like, in my opinion, every single industry is equally important. Like, everything helps us to live better, stronger lives. And so I don't at all want to downplay any other industry by saying this. Because I am not a doctor, okay? Like, do not put someone who is like dying in front of me. I will not be like, let me play you a tune. Like, I won't be able to like,
let me lull you
into your death. Yes, like, it's not like that. But I really like, in terms of like the soul and just like emotional state, I think that art can really help to heal. And for me, like, it's really helped to heal. But also, like, I think art is there to tell stories that normally wouldn't get told, or wouldn't get listened to, because of like certain, things. Like, I mean, I just think about what happened like with Parade during its like, like preview season of like the anti-Semitist like protesters. Like, that's a story that needs to be told. Like, there's just so many things, and it's like, art is so powerful and to some threatening, because like, it's telling a story that needs to be told, but some people might not want to hear. And I love like going away from having either seen a movie or a show, or like coming back from a concert and just like having conversations with people about like the depth of what you thought like the story meant. Or for me, like getting really nerdy with my composer friends and being like, but wasn't it so genius that they did this? Like, because it evoked this and it's so clever. And just be like 100% like nerding out. But I mean, our whole lives are stories, and we tell stories. I mean, that's what podcasts are. Like, I'm telling my story, you guys tell your stories. And art is just like a beautiful way of telling a story. And yeah, I just want to like, my hope is that with the music that I write, it like helps people the way that music has helped me. That's my like my desire.
DJ, that was so beautifully
said. I'm like basking in the wisdom. I'm sitting here like, yes.
Well, and I'm so glad that you said something about, listening, like that art teaches us to listen, because that's something that we're really passionate about in this podcast, actually. Like we say at the end of every podcast, to listen well and tell stories, because it's something that I don't know, it's like we've become bad listeners.
100%.
And art helps us to listen well, that's just, and there. So
one of my favorite movies ever is, Rachel actually introduced it to me, is Mona Lisa's Smile.
Oh yeah, I watched it actually at your place. Yes, you did introduce it to me too.
It's one of my favorite movies ever, and for many different reasons. The acting is phenomenal. The score is beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous. But there's one particular line, and obviously the themes of the movie, but there's one particular line where Julia Roberts' character takes a bunch of her students. She's an art teacher. She takes a bunch of her students to see a Jackson Pollock painting. And this is in the 1950s. So it's, Jackson Pollock is just becoming a thing, and he was extremely controversial in the art world. And she takes them to see this piece of art, and they all, as soon as it gets like the sheet gets pulled off, they're all like, why are we doing this stupid assignment, blah, blah, blah. And Julia says to them, she says, do yourselves a favor. She goes, shut up and look. And she goes, you don't have to like it, but you do have to consider it.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I think that that's what art should do for all of us, because it's telling a story of human experience, of what makes us tick as human beings, how we're created, and so I think you don't have to like an art that's presented, but I feel you do have to consider it.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. This is good stuff, you guys. Question 3 is, what keeps you grounded as a human?
Oh man. I mean, for me, it's just my faith, and my relationship with homeboy Jesus.
She didn't just homeboy. She did.
LB just like
She
died.
said homeboy Jesus. That is awesome.
But yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my
like,
gosh.
even like in that, the ups and downs of my faith and, yeah, just the highs and lows, it's still like very, like, that's always what I can turn back to, and should. And then really just like the people in my life, like I have some really, really, and I'm so grateful because I don't at all feel like I deserve them, but I have like some really, really solid friends and like family who have just seen me through like literally all of my crap, like, and I have like seen the successes, seen the failures, and have just always like been there to like pick up the pieces and support me and help inspire me and remind me of who I am when I don't remember. And I'm just like
So
very
important.
very, very grateful for that.
So good.
That's really cool. Okay. What person, place, or experience has shaped you the most creatively?
Oh man, person, place, or experience. I mean, honestly, like the first thing that comes to mind, like I could name a composer, I could name,
Sure.
but I think like experience is really like traveling.
Yeah.
Seeing other cultures. I mean, living in Scotland, like, and my friends are probably like, oh, she's talking about Scotland again. Like, it's like I always talk about it and I know that, but like whatever, it was life-changing. So I'm going to keep talking about it. But
Do it. Yep.
it just like immersing yourself in another culture. And even though it seems like it'd be so similar, it's not. Like, it's not nearly as similar as we think it is to like American culture. It just like grew me so much because and particularly RCS is like full of so many different kinds of people, like very diverse, but like small. It's not like massive.
Right.
And you just really get to see a lot of different kinds of art and artists and people and encounter that. And then like one of my favorite things, it's also semi-stressful, but one of my favorite things is being in a country where I don't speak the language. Yeah. Because I just think it's so like, especially in America, we're just so like as a breed, as like a country, we're so like America and like just sort of take things like for granted, I think. And when you go to other countries and you see and witness how other people live, like there are times when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really like grateful for like how we are able to live in America, and other times I'm like, America could learn from this. But now I'm going on a tangent. But creatively, I've had the opportunity to kind of like for the past few summers do like programs abroad, and oftentimes those are programs run by American companies, but I'll get to work with musicians or like mentors who are from those countries, and I think it just opens up so much creatively because the more experiences that you have, and then also that like you're willing to, like we talked about, willing to listen to and open up to, even if you don't like it. Like I'm a big like believer, like you don't have to like everything that you listen to, because I tell this to my students, like you don't have to like everything that you listen to, but like you might be surprised by what like seeps into your music. So yeah, I would say traveling. Those are my very long answer to the question.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, and what book, play, or film do you think every person should read or watch?
Oh man,
I know, such an easy question. Sorry.
it like literally,
Or piece of music to listen to.
Yeah.
That's true. It literally like depends, because it depends on what like people like.
You don't have to like it, but you do have to consider it.
Yeah.
True.
What piece of art should everybody consider?
What piece of art should everyone consider?
Yeah.
I don't know what, like, I mean, book, like Harry Potter, obviously.
I love that you just said that.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good. Like you grow up with them. It's just like, tears.
Yeah.
Talks about friendship, talks about relationship. Love it. I'm going to like sneak a couple in, but like film, like honestly, even though this isn't something I'd sit down and watch all the time, like Parasite is a phenomenal film. Like it is probably the best, like objectively one of the best films I've ever seen. Like just so well made. Music wise, if you haven't, go check out The Score to the Village by James Newton Howard.
I love
James Newton Howard is my fave. I think like a lot of my music is like he's influenced.
I truly think it's one of the reasons that I saw the Jungle Cruise in theaters like 4 times.
I love that so much.
That and Emily Blunt.
Oh yeah.
Well, I love Emily Blunt, but no, it was you know how I talked about like my heart coming out of my body when I think it's because of that, because the James Newton Howard soundtrack made me just like come alive.
He is phenomenal.
I was like, I am on this Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, his score, he did all of like M. Night Shyamalan's films before M. Night kind of like, didn't do as well, which I think that's part of the reason, because James no longer scores his films, so I'm just saying. But
composer is important.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, his score to The Village is my favorite, but also like Signs, Lady in the Water is gorgeous too. Like he just, so good.
So listen to James Newton Howard.
And my Spotify playlist is public, should anyone desire
everybody,
the 45-hour
you guys
film score. You'll be exposed to some weird stuff, but it's good.
You got to consider it.
You got to consider it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
DJ, we love you so much.
Yeah.
I love you.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that like you want to share about things that you're working on that we can kind of like stay tuned and know about?
Yeah, actually, there's kind of like a few smaller projects that are sort of, being floated around. But the big one that I'm working on right now is in July, I'm going to be going to Sofia, Bulgaria to work with the Sofia Philharmonic Orchestra to play. No big deal. To play a new piece. It'll be my first orchestral premiere, and it's like part of a program. So I'll get like to work with a conductor and have rehearsals with them. And so I'm working on that piece right now, about halfway through, and amazing. I'll have like, the video recording of it and the audio and stuff. But yeah, it'll be premiered in Bulgaria in July, which is like crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm so
excited for you. That's huge.
I'm so stoked. I'm like, of all places, like for my first orchestral premiere, like, why not Bulgaria?
Because yeah, why not?
Because why not? Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm sure there's like other stuff that's, going to be coming along the pipeline as well.
Always.
Yeah.
Dude, we love you.
I love you.
Thank you so much for being here and for being honest with us and having this conversation, but also being our friend.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I love what you guys are doing with this podcast.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
We love it.
Yeah.
And
your socials really quickly. Yeah. You want to plug them?
Sure. Yes. You can follow me on Instagram at DJ Bees. I have a website, which is really easy to remember. It's just daniellebees.com. You're welcome. And that is bees, just like bumblebees. So don't get confused. And YouTube is also just at Danielle Bees. So, and on my website, you can find links to all my socials, including SoundCloud and everything. So it's all for you there.
Everybody do that one.
Get on it, people.
Yep. SoundCloud, just search Danielle Bees. I should pop up at some point.
Come on, get on it, people. Go follow, go like, go do all the things. DJ, we love you. Friends, listeners, we will see you again soon. Thanks for listening to the For the Makers podcast. There are a few ways you can engage with us. Join our team of dreamers on Patreon for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else.
To get updates and find out more about Seated Productions, you can find us on Instagram at seated.productions or visit our website at www.seatedproductions.com. Until next time, listen well
and tell stories.